Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 54 of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm your host, Justin Pearl, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, today on our show, we've got a lot to talk about. People are having sex at Rogers Center, for goodness sakes. People are spending tens of thousands of dollars to go fishing with Buck Martinez. And most importantly, the Blue Jays rebounded against the Cubs after the poor series against the Angels. So we'll get into that a little bit, too. We got our thumbs up, thumbs down. We've got some news and notes. We got to preview the upcoming series in Pittsburgh. But Riley, first, how are you? What's going on?
I'm great, man. Had a day off to kind of collect my thoughts. And you know what? I think we've came to kind of the same idea on a lot of things. Going to be exciting to talk about a lot of it. Not looking forward to some of the stuff though, Jesse, but it's those hard talks that we got to have, man. I guess you said welcome back, Marcus Stroman. It's a series we won. Still don't feel great about, where we're sitting right now. We'd like to do a little bit better, of course, Jesse.
Yeah, let's get into the game recaps here of the games that happened in the series, so you know what we're talking about when we get there. Game one of this series, the Jays won this game 5-4 in extra innings. Jays got down 4-0 after 6 innings, so things looked bleak, but then Danny Jansen had a clutch 3-run home run to get us close. Matt Chapman had a game-tying RBI single in the 8th, and then Danny Jansen with the walk-off single in the 10th to score, said Matt Chapman, to give the Blue Jays the 5-4 win. Blue Jays kept it rolling in game 2. This was Kevin Gausman versus Marcus Stroman in his first return back to the Rogers Center. Jays gave up runs in the 4th and the 6th off 2 solo home runs from Kevin Gausman. He doesn't give up many of those, but he did 2 in this game. Jays had 1 in the 5th, then they got a key 3-run home run from Teoscar Hernandez to give the Blue Jays the lead. Vladdy also had a solo shot to get some insurance, and Jordan Romano shut the door down for save number 28 on the season. And game 3 in the finale, Jays lost this game 7-5. Mitch White struggled again as the team got into a hole early. Kevin Biggio did hit his 4th home run of the season, and Alejandro Kirk went for about the first time in 6 weeks. Jays take 2-3 against the Cubs, Riley, just like we thought they would in our last episode when we previewed here, and a good way to bounce back after the series against the Angels.
Well, we sure know how to call those. We can't call a sweep, but we sure as know when we're going to take 2 out of 3. And boy, we needed it. We didn't need anything less. A sweep would have been nice, but the wheels fell off, man. We can only outscore our opponents when we're giving up non-quality starts from our starting pitchers. And the offense might have saved Barrios, but you know what? And I'm not going to say they let down Mitch White. It was just another normal game for our offense where we sort of struggled at the plate at times. But yeah, Mitch White really letting us down, and they're not an ideal games out of your starters. Of course, Gausman's going to go out there and throw smoke, man. 9 Ks over 6 innings.
Yeah, Gausman did his job absolutely rock solid. We'll get into the starting pitching performance a little early, but before we really get into our thumbs up and thumbs down, Riley, we're now into the month of September, right? This is September baseball. The Jays are thick into a playoff race, and I want to kind of break things down here as we prepare for the final month before we get into the season here. So as things stand right now, the Blue Jays are 70-59. We're still 3rd place in the AL East. We're 8 games back to the Yankees. So unless something dramatic happens, we're not catching the Yankees here. So we're really going to focus on our spot in the wild card here. Right now, we're 2 games back of both Tampa Bay and Seattle, and we have a 1.5 game lead over Baltimore and 3 over Minnesota. So we're in a playoff spot, but we're only in a playoff spot because MLB added an extra playoff spot this year, and the Jays are going to have to really play well. And here's how their schedule looks up. 33 games left in the season. We have 3 this weekend against Pittsburgh. We have 2 against Philadelphia. Then we have 3 against Boston, 3 against Texas, 3 against the Yankees, and then 9 against Tampa Bay and 10 against the Baltimore Orioles. Puts our strength of schedule at a .519 winning percentage against the teams we're facing here. So the Jays are going to have to take care of their own business here, and they're going to have to win these games. I don't think we're going to get much help from outside of the division.
Man, Baltimore is 7 wins in their last 10 ball games. Baltimore's in a mix, man. For people who don't think they have it right now, for a team that was discounted at the start of the year, Baltimore is certainly bringing it. Seattle's another one of those scary teams. The AL Central's bringing absolutely nothing to the showcase this year, with exception to the Guardians. It's just one of those things. The Central Division's notoriously weak compared to the counterparts East and West, but we got our work cut out for us, man. 500 baseball just ain't gonna cut it, even for that 3rd playoff spot. We got to sweep a series somewhat in here. We got to take advantage of one of these series against the Rays or the Orioles and run with it, man. I mean, this is a time where we can't afford to lose 4 to 5 ball games. You're going to see us slip very far back if anything like that happens. Same thing with Tampa, though. You know, if they face a skid, you know, a team like Baltimore comes in or a team like Seattle comes in. Right now, we got to put our foot to the gas right now. We cannot afford any sloppy ball, and we can't afford to lose any series up to this point.
Yeah, like if we go 3-7 against the Baltimore Orioles this year, they're going to pass us, if not easily, and it's going to be really good. Like we need to play 500 ball against these teams, if not better, honestly, to keep our spot in the wild card position. It is put up or shut up time now for the Toronto Blue Jays, and we need to keep things going here so we can get into the playoffs and have a chance at winning. Now, Riley, with that being said, I'm going to talk to you about the other 4 teams that are kind of close to us and what their winning percentage are to see if we can get some help. So Tampa Bay faces a lot of the same things we do. They have 9 games against us. They play the Yankees a bunch still. They also have 6 games left against the Houston Astros. So maybe we'll get some help here as Tampa Bay has probably the toughest schedule in the American League left with a 551 opponents winning percentage there. But Seattle, for example, they play a lot more. Oakland, they play some of the bad AL Central teams. They have a 452 strength of schedule left, which is by far the lowest in the AL. So we're not going to get much help. They play a lot of the bad AL Central teams. I think they have Kansas City coming in. They have Detroit still. Their teams. Baltimore's about even. They have 4 left against Houston still, but they also play the A's, Detroit, and Washington. And Minnesota has 6 against Cleveland still, which might be tough, but they also play the White Sox 9 more times. So the Jays aren't going to get much help. They need to take care of their business, and they need to win the ball games that's in front of them here.
And I love to look at other teams' schedules. And you know what? When it comes down to it, I can't see Tampa, you know, winning 75% of these games or the Orioles. You know, you're going to win games against bad teams and lose games against bad teams and vice versa when you play teams like the Houston Astros. That's just how baseball works. We're at the point of the year right now where if you play 25 games and you win 15 of them and you're 15-10, you came out of the month September pretty unscathed. Now it's the dogfight, like you said, man. And I would be happy with taking, you know, 15 out of 25 games to have a 15-10 record in September, whatever the, you know, the game number adds up to. That's something that's going to put us in a good spot to take a wild card spot. Chasing the Yankees is, you know, we're not chasing the Yankees right now. We're fighting 3 or 4 teams right now for those 3 wild card spots.
There are some people who would say, yes, it would be good to get that top wild card spot because then we get to play at Rogers Center, which with the COVID rules, some of these teams might be missing players to the postseason. There are some people out there that think, no, the 6th spot's where you want to be because then you face the AL Central Division winner. Now, right now would be Cleveland. Jays haven't played well against Cleveland this year, but you know, there's some thought to that. But I'd rather just try to keep winning games. Just get in. As soon as you're in, the MLB playoffs is a crapshoot, right? Just get in. And as long as you're in, you have a chance. And yeah, because once you start playing for seeding or where you want to be or trying to face your opponent, you're screwed. You're in trouble because that opponent will beat you 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, we're not trying to get picky here. We're trying to get our boys in. This is a team that should be in the postseason. They will be in the postseason, and seeding doesn't matter. Whether we play the Guardians, whether we play the Rays, whoever it may be, it doesn't matter. We got to perform against those teams. Teams like the Guardians, teams we've struggled against, whatever. You shut that crap out once the regular season is over. But right now, Jesse, we're still in the regular season right now. Nothing is set in stone right now. We're trying to get there, brother.
All right. Still a long way to go too here. So let's hope they can play well here. But let's get into our thumbs up, thumbs down, Riley. And I'll let you have the first one here. Who do you want to talk about? Who impressed you in this series against the Cubs?
Well, man, how can you not be impressed? And it's Danny Jansen, first and foremost. I mean, how often do you get it feels like it's been a minute since we've had a nice walk-off play in our own ballpark, dude. I mean, it's nice when my guy Matt Chapman's hustling his butt down the line, trying to score a run. Jansen driving in 4 in the game, double and a home run in this series. Like, guy's a monster. I mean, there are times where he struggles at the plate, but in the grand scheme of things, I think Danny Jansen's very underrated. And I made a bold call at the start of the year when I said our catchers would lead at least the American League in home runs for combined catcher unit. If it weren't for Kirk and his bat going ice cold and Jansen getting in facing his injuries, I think I'd have a legitimate chance at that bet right now. But that's how the season works. But honestly, Danny Jansen, I think at this point deserves a little more playing time. I think he's playing great ball as of late, and he's going to be a crucial part for the rest of this season in this lineup, man. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with having Jansen in 4 to 5 games.
We talked about this a lot when both Jansen and Kirk were hot. It's like, why can't you build lineups where they're both in there, right? And I think we're kind of getting to that point again. But Riley, 2 episodes ago, we talked about how Danny Jansen had 5 hard hit baseballs, hit 102.5 miles per hour or harder. He did it again in this series. His home run went 105.5 miles per hour, and also had the game tying single to get me over the curveball. That won the Blue Jays the game. Now, I will say he followed up that monster performance with an 0 for 4 day, as Danny Jansen will do. But it was good to see that John Schneider put him back into the lineup again right after his big day. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Alejandro Kirk here because, yes, he did hit a home run in this series, but he has really had his struggles lately. I think since the All-Star break, Alejandro Kirk is hitting 250, 344, which the on-base percentage is still good, but only a 339 slugging with 2 home runs. And, for what it's worth, Jansen in that time, he's been struggling too since the All-Star break. He's only hitting 200, but he's got 4 home runs, which is actually 4th on the team since the All-Star break, ahead of both Bo Bichette and George Springer, and a BABIP that's less than 200 from Danny Jansen. So I'm wondering, Riley, like, should Jansen be playing more here than Alejandro Kirk down the stretch?
Well, yeah, the fact that our team seems to be struggling with the long ball for a team that should easily finish in the top 3. I don't even think for the American East, but for all of the American League and home runs. I mean, yeah, if you got guys launching balls into the seats, Danny Jansen is a guy who's been hitting the ball hard, barreling balls up. I mean, yeah, you go with your best players, right? It's not always the guy who's making the most money. That all aside, you got to go with your hottest bats right now. It's the same when we made a decision to put Kikuchi in the pen. He was our coldest arm at the time. We had to make a decision. Now's the time to make a decision. Who's going to get the most time behind the plate? You can still DH either one of them. Of course, I would personally rather go with Kirk DHing, and I'd love to have Jano behind the plate. But of course, that's up to John Schneider. But yeah, it's a simple answer is Jansen's got to play, man.
I agree. The thing is, like, we've seen how good Kirk can be when he's hot.
Play more.
But right now, Kirk isn't hot. And that's the problem. Like, yeah, you want to give him at bat so he can get hot again because he can carry this team on his shoulders for a hot stretch of time. But I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know what to do. I would like to play them both, honestly, but we'll see how it goes. Another thumbs up I wanted to give is to Matt Chapman. Nothing too wild here. He went 3 for 10 in the series. You mentioned how he scored on that run. And there were some people on Twitter who are making memes because his face looks hilarious as he's running around the bases there. And hey, he looked good. He had a good slide, a Trey Turner-esque slide coming into home to score the winning run there. So good base running from Chapman. And as always, it's his defense. And I really liked how Matt Chapman was out on the field early with Bo Bichette, and they were working on his defense because we know Bo struggled with that this year. And if you're going to learn defense from anybody, Matt Chapman is the guy you want to learn how to play infield defense from. Shows that Chappie's a really good character guy on this team and in this clubhouse. And I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah, man. Oh, talk about a guy who is just doing it all for us, man. You talk about leadership, and I do say doing it all, and for those people, well, his averages, blah blah blah, whatever. But honestly, leadership is important. Character is such a good trait, and we've seen Springer with the leadership role he's taken on. Our young guys are trying to step into those leadership roles, but right now, Chapman working with, I'll say a less than stellar Bo Bichette right now is something that we all need to even physically see that. It's the same thing with what he said about Yusei Kikuchi, don't quit on this guy. Well, Bo's having one of the worst statistical years that he probably will ever have in the recent history for shortstops. It's down there as well. It shows that he's not even giving up on it. He's not giving up on his teammates, man. He's sticking it right through the end. And also, yeah, loving the base running around third base out of my guy, Matt Chapman, arms going like Captain Jack Sparrow getting chased in that one Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It was awesome. He's not a fast guy. He's not a slow guy. He's a mid-speed runner, but he was hoofing her, man. He was absolutely hoofing it.
Hey, putting in the effort. You love to see that from your ball team here. Quick, I just want to make a note about Jordan Romano. He has allowed 3 earned runs in total in the month of July and the month of August. That's it. For your closer, that'll do, Jordan Romano. So a little mini thumbs up to you.
Yeah, Mr. Markham doing it, man. Love having him in the 9th inning. I mean, what else can you say, man? He's doing his thing. And yeah, he's having a career year right now, and I see it just getting much better for Mr. Jordan Romano.
Well, from the positives to the negatives, Riley, we got to do some thumbs down here now, and I'll let you have the first one. Lots you can go. There's been some struggling Blue Jays on this team so far, and who do you want to give the first one to?
I think we'll give it to Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Yeah.
I think, and I sadly have to go back on. I've said this a few times. Like, I might not have said it, but I definitely have thought it. Oh, it's just about time Lourdes is going to get hot. He went 1 for 12 in the series. He'll get hot here real soon. But Jesse, is it just me or is he not? I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how he has an average around 300 right now, let alone, I think he went, I don't even want to guess. I think he had he was on base maybe twice in this series and got 14 plate appearances. I don't know the exact number off by heart, but it was not a good series for Mr. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's not produced extra base wise. I loved him at the top of the order for a couple of those games. I thought it was a great decision, and now it's kind of got stale real quick. To put it plain, man, it got stale really quick, and it seems to be George back on the top, whether he's DH in center field, and Lourdes is kind of shuffling around.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. 1 for 13 with just a single and no walks in the series against the Chicago Cubs, so it wasn't ideal. And Riley, today is a big day. I would like to wish you a happy 2-month anniversary since the last time Lourdes Gurriel Jr. hit a home run. In fact, it's Canada Day was the last time Lourdes Gurriel Jr. went deep. And since moving up to the number 3 hole, or actually, Riley, I should say, since we mentioned on our show that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. might win a batting title, he is hitting 227 with a 574 OPS. He is not good enough to be hitting this high in the order right now. And Riley, I got a fun list here of here are some hitters around the league who have more home runs than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Santiago Espinal has more home runs than him. Whit Merrifield has more home runs. Aaron Hicks, who the Yankees want off this planet, he has more home runs than Gurriel. Garrett Stubbs, who I didn't even know was still playing baseball, has more home runs than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And even his brother, Yuli Gurriel Jr., has 7 home runs, which is still more than Lourdes. So even Kevin Biggio, Riley, is 1 home run behind Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and that makes you say, wow. I don't know what will. We need the power to come back, and honestly, no home runs in 2 months? Yikes.
Guy could make a wicked pina colada, though. I just want to get that in. Guy knows how to mix a fruit smoothie, but the guy does not know how to go yard in the major leagues. I don't know what it is, man. I thought he had the potential for the power tool. Obviously, if this is what it's going to be like, I'm not sure. He seems to be kind of a liability at the top of the order when he's hitting there, and then you bat him 7th. And he's batting 310. You move him up to the top of the order when he's hitting well, and he's producing a 170 average. I don't know, man. It's funky that way. Why don't we just call it spade to spade and bat him 7th in the order and hope that he contributes, more than he's been doing as well, especially in this series. I was close. I said 14 plate appearances and got 2 hits or 2 on base. 1 for 13 is still an atrocious number. What we're trying to say is he's batting, there's batting under the Mendoza line, and then there's batting, single digit numbers beside your scorecard when you're batting .0 something. And Lourdes just not having it in the series. Easy thumbs down.
Another guy who hasn't performed as much as our expectations this year is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Vladdy did hit a home run in Game 3 of this series, but he's gone back to hitting way too many balls on the ground, Riley. And last year in his MVP finalist season, he raised his launch angle to 9.4, and it's by far the highest it's been in his career. And you saw the success that followed from him. This year, it's back to what it was in 2020 to 4.5. And yes, I know Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is still hitting the ball hard, but at the major league level, Josh Donaldson preached this for the longest time. Like, you got to hit the ball in the air because the defense is so good in the big leagues that ground balls are outs. On Monday, for example, Vladdy went 0 for 4 with 4 ground balls. At one point, Vladdy hit a ground ball in 9 straight at-bats. In fact, Vladdy has 93 ground outs on the season, which is 4th most in Major League Baseball, and his ground ball rate is 51.4%. But with men on base, it's even higher at 57%. Vladdy needs to start elevating the baseball because that's when he does the most damage. And with the exit velocity that comes off his bat, he can be elite. It's just he's got to fix this, make better swing decisions, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will get back to the guy we saw last year.
Well, he absolutely crushes the ball, Jesse. And I mean, on some pitches, like I've never seen a guy, like I've seen guys swing hard, but he might be one of the hardest swingers I've ever seen. He's got a smooth swing, but he does swing hard. You got to imagine, what kind of tinkering guys do, minuscule things throughout the year. I mean, launch angle is such a funny thing where you are making contact with your bat head, where your elbow is, where your hands are following through. These are little things, little intricate things that, of course, you and I, we might think that we know what we're doing. Vladdy knows kind of what's going on, or may not know what's going on. It's kind of a swing adjustment, in my opinion. It can be fixed. Obviously, if it's been tried to be fixed up to this point, it hasn't worked. Driving a ball into the ground, yeah. JD said it. It's an out, man. If there's a good infield in play, it doesn't matter if he's hitting it 103 miles an hour. Guys will make those plays. This isn't 1970 whatever anymore. These are all elite fielders, man. Everyone in baseball can do everything nowadays. And yeah, they're just hard ground outs, man. It's a little disheartening. I'll say though, it's good to see that he's hitting balls hard and he's making good contact, but he's just not making good contact to the right part of the field and with the right launch angle, man. I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, could you imagine how many extra base hits he would have if he just changed just something so minuscule, man?
He's so close. That's the thing that bothers us. I think he's so close to that level, but he's still not there, and it's frustrating, especially with the men on base part. That's what really eats at me here. But Riley, really quick, I want to talk about the Blue Jays bench here because Bradley Zimmer is back, and now it's September 1st. He's one of 2 September call-ups. We'll get to the second one in a minute here. But Bradley Zimmer is back, and now this is what the Blue Jays bench is going to look like. So Bradley Zimmer's on it, who can't hit. Raimel Tapia's on it, who can't hit. Jackie Bradley Jr. is on the bench. He also can't hit. Cavan Biggio is fine, I guess, but he also can't really hit. And Whit Merrifield, he's hit in the past, but he hasn't hit since coming a Blue Jay. So, Riley, is this going to be a problem that our bench has all these guys that just can't hit?
Well, yeah, I mean, you put 2 extra guys in the clubhouse. I wish we were old rules. I'd love the 40 guys in the clubhouse. Personally, I think 28 is a ridiculous number. I love the 40 guys in the clubhouse, whatever, because that would give guys like Moreno. I bet you would even see Ricky Tiedemann up getting a couple innings, long relief style. But whatever. Let's deal with this. Let's go over the names you said. Yeah, it's not 2016 anymore. So JBJ and Whit Merrifield, their pedigree's gone. Zimmer could never really hit. Our wild card guy for me is Cavan Biggio. I mean, he definitely is not a guy who's going to crack his full potential, but can he go on a little bit of a run? I certainly think so, and that's the hope. I mean, we see little spurts with Cavan Biggio, and I feel like if any guy's going to step up, I feel like Espinal had a great first half of this year, but he has really fallen off, man. And I don't know what it is. We could be sitting here, honestly, man, and giving Espinal thumbs down. Probably, half the last 6 episodes, 3 of the last 6 episodes, I feel anytime we could have said Espinal thumbs down for whatever reason. Nothing personal, Santiago. Just his numbers are not matching what he was doing earlier on. I think that Biggio's a wild card, man. Would love to see him get used more in ball games. And Whit Merrifield, yeah, maybe a little bit, dude. But other than that, it could be a problem. It could be a problem for sure, Jesse.
The problem is if the Jays are building out a lineup where they only put one of Alejandro Kirk or Danny Jansen in there, then 2 of these 5 guys are going to be in the lineup every day. And if they can't hit, I think it's going to be a problem. But Riley, I got to move on here. We got to talk about our starting pitchers. We haven't talked about any of them yet in this series. Really quick, I'll give you their lines, and in about a minute or so, give me what your thoughts are on these 3. Jose Barrios went 5 2/3 innings pitch. He gave up 10 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. I think he pitched better than his line indicated, but he just put too many pitches right down the heart of the plate. Kevin Gausman was good, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 9 Ks. And Mitch White was not so good, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. Some good, some bad, some ugly. Riley, really quick, if you got any thoughts on those.
Yeah, I think that you're kind of right that it wasn't as bad, but anytime you go out there and give up 10 hits, that's not a good number to go by. And you can match it with the rest of Barrios' season. He has 83 earned runs given up, which is the most in the major leagues. He got 27 home runs, which is the most in the major league. Jose Barrios has not cut it. In fact, I don't know what his ERA to start the season was, but it's currently now sitting at 4.22 career ERA. So it must have gone up there at some point. Oh, and his ERA on the season, Jesse, 5.32. That number is just way too damn high for a guy that we're sinking that much money into. I'm going to be real quick with Gausman. He's just a disgusting pitcher. I cannot believe we got him and that he is doing like I wish he went. I wish he got 9 strikeouts. I wish it was another double digits for Gausman because he just deserves it. He honestly just deserves it. The deception on his pitches. I still think that splitter might be just, you pair that with his fastball. It's one of the nastiest 1-2 punches. And Mitch White hasn't done anything since he's become a Toronto Blue Jay. In fact, his ERA is over 7. I don't think there's one quality start. There might be one quality start or maybe not because he doesn't qualify, because it seems like Mitch White doesn't even pitch into the 5th inning. He's a long reliever at best, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I was a little bit hype on this guy because I saw good things. There's still potential. But he was pitching much better with the Dodgers before we got a hold of him. He was making starts and coming out long relief style for the LA Dodgers. Comes over to us, and he's just made game starts. And yeah, Jesse, we kind of know how it goes. An ERA over 7. I don't think, maybe one quality start, maybe none. It's one of those two, but it feels like when he's on the hill, we've just been getting beaten, battered. And yeah, and this one, man, the offense just couldn't support his duties.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we don't have any starting depth behind him, so Mitch White is going to get a run. But I guess we just hope it turns it around, I guess. I don't know. I'm not optimistic either, but it's got to happen here. Moving on to some news and notes here. The Blue Jays have announced their 2 September call-ups. As mentioned, Bradley Zimmer was one of them and is back, and he's returned to the team. And the Jays chose to go with Casey Lawrence for the 2nd September call-up. Now, we speculated it might be a third catcher, either Moreno or Zach Collins, or honestly, Zach Pop or Julian Merriweather, who honestly should be in this pen. But they went with Casey Lawrence, and I have a suspicion here that I think they want to do a tandem start in the last game against Pittsburgh this series with him and Yusei Kikuchi. And maybe so that gets both Manoah and Kevin Gausman lined up to face Baltimore this week. Because that's the only reason I can think of why you choose Casey Lawrence over Zach Pop, who should be in this bullpen anyway. The fact he was sent down was kind of silly. And Julian Merriweather, who's done his rehab assignment and is carving up trip hitters in AAA. So any thoughts on Casey Lawrence quickly there? Just, yeah.
No, Lawrence is I'm really missing Zach Pop. He should be with this team. I don't know about Merriweather, but yeah, he's on the cusp. But Zach Pop for sure never should have been sent down in the first place. Yeah, if you're right on the tandem start, let's hope that the split between Casey Lawrence and Yusei Kikuchi works out in the Blue Jays' favor. Because if not, that's a big F right in our face, Jesse.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about that when we preview the series here. Some more news and notes. The Jays have acquired 18-year-old catcher Edward Duran. He's the player to be named later that we acquired in the Zach Pop, Anthony Bass trade. I don't have a scouting report on him because he's still quite young, 18, but he did have more walks than strikeouts, and he makes good contact, and this seems like the type of guy that the Blue Jays are trying to acquire. Ricky Tiedemann has been placed on the development list, and with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats only having 2 series left on their schedule, I would bet that Ricky Tiedemann's season is likely over, and we won't be seeing him in the big leagues pitching on the playoff roster for this team, as we speculated he might have earlier. He's going to be the talk of the offseason, Riley, and the talk of spring training, so we got a lot about him. Nate Pearson threw a live BP session yesterday and should be approaching a rehab assignment here soon. Check in next episode. We'll probably have details on that. And the Blue Jays released their 2023 spring training schedule, with the first game being held against Pittsburgh on February 25th, 2023. So find your calendar, mark that date on it, because the first spring training game, always one of the best times of year.
2023 sounds like something out of a futuristic cartoon like the Jetsons or something, man. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, Tiedemann, tee him up for one of those starts, either that game or pretty close, but I don't know if he'll make the first one. And yeah, your guy Nate Pearson still existing, not pitching, but he exists.
I still believe in Nate Pearson. It's tough because he's 24 years old and he's like kind of lost all prospect pedigree. He's barely pitched much, if at all, but the guy still throws 102, man. Like, I'm looking at the stuff and it's like, it's gotta play. I think we've all lost hope that he's going to turn into something like Justin Verlander, but if he can be a guy of your bullpen like Felix Bautista is for the Orioles right now, that'll work. Sign me up for that.
I love the Nate Pearson fan club, Edu. I love how you love your guys. Matt Chapman could be hitting below the Mendoza line. I would still root for him just as hard, man. So I get that. I feel that. It's a losing battle. And you know what? I hope he goes up there and throws smoke. And I hope he gets better soon, Jesse, because, it seems like we're going to need some arms here very quickly.
I agree. I'm a sucker for upside. What can I say? Well, with that being said, the Blue Jays begin a 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. As probable pitchers as of now are Alek Manoah in Game 1 against Tyler Beede. Game 2 will be Ross Stripling against JT Brubaker. Game 3 right now is Jose Barrios against Roansy de Contreras. But like I said, I do expect Yusei Kikuchi and Casey Lawrence to start one of these games. I'm not sure which one, to do a spot start to kind of push their better pitchers back to face Baltimore and Tampa Bay down the stretch. So, Riley, any quick thoughts? How do you think we're going to do against Pittsburgh this week?
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna take 2 out of 3. It should be a sweep. I think we have another stupid game in there. Pittsburgh's a team that I don't think they're gonna lose 100 games. I think they're gonna lose 95 to 97 games area. They're in a hard rebuild too. They're currently saddled at 49 and 81. So when you hear that number pop off when they have over 80 losses and not quite 50 wins, that's a number we should take advantage of. And I think we will for 2 of those games. But I think the way our luck's bounced, man, I think we lose a tough one, probably one that you and I cry ourselves to sleep over and we should have won.
Well, it'll make for good content for the podcast, I guess. So we'll love that. I'm with you. 2 out of 3. I do think a sweep is more likely than us losing the series for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, Kikuchi has to pitch this series. And anytime Kikuchi pitches, I think you just chalk that up as an L right now. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that'll be the one I'm referring to, Jesse. That'll be that game I'm referring to, the blow up. Hey, the Jays scored 8 runs on 13 hits. Yeah, but how did our pitching do? We don't want to talk about it.
Plus, one quick before we leave this series here. Who's going to have a harder hit ball, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Neil Cruz?
Oh, I'm going to say Danny Jansen.
Yeah, with the way he's been going on. I like that pick. Love that pick. That's going to be grand. All right, that'll do it for episode here today.
Well, you got O'Neal Cruz, longest single ever, man. Longest single ever.
Guy can absolutely mash, and he'll be excited to watch for it in this series here. But that'll do it for our episode here today. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review and all that fun stuff on those podcast streaming platforms. Riley, September baseball is here, and the Blue Jays are right in the thick of things. Let's hope we get hot and this team can start going, because I'd hate to sit here in another month and talk about how we failed, how this Blue Jays core is a disaster, and they need to really make things up. Let's just get into the playoffs, and let's go from there.
I'm going to try my hardest not to bite all my fingernails off this month, but you know what? We've already spent 5 months of baseball, and I already got none. So guess what? Let's just hope for the best. It's going to be fun.
I agree, man. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you again after the series against the Pirates. Let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys.